Welcome out to episode 144 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. Dude, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Work has been crazy and everything else. So this episode, about a month or so ago, I did part one of Into the MassiveVerse, where I just went over some of the characters. Today, in this episode, it's part two. I'm going to be going into Radiant Black, the story, the first two volumes of the trades. Uh, just to, I'm going to go like in kind of like a pseudo chronological order of everything that's happening. I will get into that, but first I have to do the usual, which is going over new comics because it's been a while. So I actually went into my local comic book shop and picked up all my pulls because I have a pull list, so they save them for me. And I haven't had time. I haven't gone in like a month, and they always like, "Oh, you're here to get your comics finally." I'm like, "Yep." And they have like it. I love my LCS like so much. They're great there. And so yeah, I'm gonna be going over comics, some games. A lot of games have been coming out. Been in my free time. That's like what I've been doing to kind of like decompress lately because things have been really hectic, and I almost contemplated not doing a uh, episode this week because I took the weekend off for Easter, so there was no episode that weekend. But I was like, no, gotta get I gotta get an episode out, and I've been wanting to because in my Google Docs, as I've been reading Radiant Black, I mean, I've been pulling it since it started, since issue one. So I was like, you know what? I started like doing more notes, rereading the trades to make this a more informative. Well, my opinion's going to be definitely interjected into this, but very informative of the Massive Verse, especially with MassiveVerse 2 coming out in next month, I believe. And hold on, the kitten's like attacking my tripod. All right, sorry about that. Let me tell you, the feud my kitten has with my camera setup is ridiculous. She will, like, she just wants to attack the shit out of it all the time. And I'm like, she's cute, but it's unnecessary. But at the same time, it's a kitten. I think she's only like 8 months old now, and it's time is flying. Can't believe we've had her for that long. But like I was saying, I took a lot more notes. I reread because I've been reading currently what's going on, but I had to go back and let me read those first two volumes so I have a timeline specifically to talk about what happens at some point. I think uh, the next one I'm going to do is not going to be volume three. I think actually I'm going to jump into Rogue Sun, and after that I'll probably jump into Infernal Girl Red or Radiant Pink because I know that run is one issue away from being done. So my goal is honestly by the end of May, I should have enough done from a podcast standpoint in these videos. If you're watching, going over the Massive Verse to the point where basically we're we're getting caught up currently because like I wanted to wait until the trades came out because it was easier to talk about them from a volume standpoint, and then after that I can go into issues as they're coming out because yeah. But I want to start off first collectibles. If you follow me on social media, I really wanted the Dungeons and Dragons classic like cartoon series figures from Hasbro, but they were expensive. Let's face it, $24. Well, 25 technically, so like 24.99 for a figure is a lot. Um, and then also the bigger set was 50, and I was like, man, I can't. There's three individual figures plus that. Like I'm looking at $125 minimum, and that's not including like taxes. And I was like, I can't. But Target started clearancing them, and I picked up a few of them. I got Diana, and then I also got Hank. I could not find Bobby. Bobby was not there, so I'm gonna have to hunt down Bobby. But getting these two for the collection, I'm so happy. And then, so they're gonna fall over. So they were clearance down to $14. I was like, can't say no. But the best was Venger and the Dungeon Master was clearance down to $24. Yeah, like and I didn't realize it, but the box is slightly damaged. But I don't care because I'm actually taking these out of the box. I'm going to be putting them on display when I put up more shelves. But yeah, getting these like made me really happy because I wanted them so much, and I was so annoyed at the price point, and I was like, man, Hasbro, you're doing me dirty. But for some odd reason, Target has been clearancing so much Hasbro stuff lately. Like I did a whole video. I'm done with the Lightning collection. Sold 99% of my collection except for two figures: the Dragon Shield, Zach Black Ranger, and then the 2-pack with Jason with the Gold Zeo and the Mighty Morphin Red. Like those are the only two I actually still have. Um, and I was like, no, I mean I don't count the Draken Evo because that was like that's in the box. Like that was cool. That I lean more towards that's in my comic book collection because it's MMPR comic related. But I was like, yeah, that's all I had, and I found they had the In Space Silver, and they had I always forget his name, the one from Turbo. And I was like, you know what? Those were supposed to be like $33, and they were clearance down to 10. So I was like, let me pick those up, even though I don't want to support the Lightning Collection due to quality control issues. But I was like, you know what? For $10, I might as well. So that's really it for collectibles. I got a lot of stuff on the way from Japan. I just got to wait for those to all be delivered next week. A lot of Toku stuff because that's, you know, mainly my main collecting is Toku stuff. Uh, as you can see, a Batman 30th anniversary animated series statue right there. But no, mostly Toku stuff and anime stuff. But yeah, video games, man. Oh my god. So I'm late to the party. Okay, I'm always late to the party. Let's be real here. I finally started playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order on the PS5 because a new one's coming out, and I tried playing it when it was on Game Pass through EA Play, and but that was a while ago, and I was like, I'm not really in the mood. And then I was like, well, I got this PS5. I'm playing a few games here. Let me put some hours into the console. I can't let it sit there and just get dusty. So I bought the game on that. I started playing it. I'm loving it so much. It looks amazing. I don't know if it's because we got that new TV. That new TV is like pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. We got the big like Samsung freaking 4K crystal whatever bullshit, and I was like, all right, this game looks amazing on it. Um, but it's poor timing on my choice because the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection came out, and of course I had to pick up that. And on top of that, from Japan, the Shin Kamen Rider SD Rumble released, which is a little side-scrolling Kamen Rider like beat 'em up for Shin Kamen Rider, which is also coming to theaters on May 31st, which is awesome. Cannot wait. But it's just kind of interesting because I ordered it, and then sorry, microphone. And then I found out we're getting an English release version in May as well. So I was like, well, I'm probably gonna get the English version as well because I do collect not just Kamen Rider video games, but Toku video games in general, dating all the way back to the Famicom. I have a lot of them. I just collect them. It's my thing because they're not really that expensive to find. And I was like, oh man, if I can, I'll get a almost complete Toku video game collection. Why not? So yeah, that's really it for games, but like very time consuming. I mean, Mega Man Battle Network collection has 10 freaking games in it. So you're probably on the podcast where I talk about video games I've been playing. That's probably what most of the time I'm going to be talking about is, oh yeah, I'm still playing Mega Man Battle Network. Like I booted up last night. My wife's just like, so just go play Mega Man? I'm like, yep. I'm relaxing. I'm not going to work on any video content. I'm not going to think like I needed 2 days when I wasn't working to just like not make content. Yes, I did the Oshinoko Yosobi Idol music video reaction, which, by the way, thank you to everyone who checked it out. But I haven't really actually made any content. I'm actually going to be delaying some of my normal stuff, like the Kamen Rider Geats review and the King Oja reviews, just because I need a couple days just to like chill, recharge the batteries. You know, people are bringing up too, like I sound like tired and just exhausted in a lot of my videos recently, and it's like it's true. Like, you know, a lot of people don't talk about like content creating and getting burnt out. Like, especially because this isn't my job. Okay, I have my full-time job. This is like my hobby, something I do for fun, something I enjoy doing and I want to do. And it does get time consuming, Like, if I'm putting in 40 plus hours a week, then you figure, okay, reviewing stuff, you got to watch the show. I'm watching it regardless. So, I'll watch it. Then I got to go through and, you know, take my notes after I watch it because I don't script anything out. Then after that, I have to go through and record the review. I want to go to edit. I got to pull clips from the show, make sure I don't get any claims or strikes for that. Then, doing toy stuff. I mean, I get the toys anyways, so it's like, that's not bad. Anything I do that's like toy related is so easy. It comes easy to me because it's like, hey, these are things I know, these are things I'm passionate about. And but when it comes to like shows, you got to watch them and this and that. The podcast is another thing. That's fine. This I don't find difficult, honestly, doing the podcast. The podcast to me is easy because I've done podcasting for so long that it's not something that is like taking so much of my energy or my time, really, But on top of it, for those of you who don't know, the merch line dropped, and I'm appreciative of everyone who's placing orders and all the support I've been getting. Like, it's insane. And because I do the merch through Fourth Wall, anytime someone places an order, I can actually send them personalized thank you videos, which I've been doing. And I actually have some more I have to do because I got some more sales last night. And I was like, okay, more thank yous. I was like, but I really like that because it's more personal. It's not so thank you for the money, go. I get to, you get to directly thank these people, like, who are supporting you. And, at first it was like my friends that were buying merch, and now I'm seeing names and this and that for people I don't know, like strangers. That's the thing that blows my mind, is strangers on the internet who I don't follow me, don't interact, like, are like, oh, that's some good merch, let me get that. And I'm like, damn, y'all making me feel a certain way right now. And also on top of everything else, I'm like, my wife is sick, so I'm trying to be a good husband. I'm trying not to get sick, even though I feel like I am getting sick, because the weather in San Diego has been crazy. We had all that rain, then it was hot, then it's cloudy and overcast, then it's hot again, then it's like cooling off, and like, anyone knows, I have the worst freaking allergies in the world. And when I lived in Connecticut, it was seasonal, but in San Diego, it's all year round apparently. And I'm just like, damn, this is not fun. It's a lot, like, and I'm sorry to venting, like, honestly, you'd be surprised how few people I talk to, honestly, like, not from like a friend standpoint, just in general. So it's like a lot of time, I'm just sitting home, if my wife's at work, I'm by myself with the cats, just, you know, reading comics, typing away on stuff, working on stuff, and it's a lot of stuff like boils up and festers, and I hate getting like that because I'm like, I'm not angry about anything. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm just tired. Like, I've had a constant like headache for like 5 days, but that's it for my spiel. Also, I apparently, because I keep track of it, I have been done with cigarettes for over a year now, and I'm really proud of that because that was one of the toughest vices for me to ever quit. Like, I've always had inconsistency when it comes to quitting smoking. This has been actually really good, and I'm really happy about that. So let's get into comics. So I had a backlog, and when I say backlog, it's crazy. So I got my because they were holding it for me, I got my connecting variants for TMNT Power Rangers #1. That's very exciting because I like the connecting variants. And then from Boom, I got the Book of Slaughter, which is set in the House of Slaughter, which is also in the Something Is Killing the Children's universe. This isn't like a story. It's kind of like almost like not like almost like an encyclopedia for like everything going on in the world. Also, those aren't board and bags because I was boarding and bagging everything, and I ran out of boards. So I gotta go buy some more, and I gotta get some more of the resealable bags because I switched over to resealable bags a few months ago, and I'm so glad I did because I was getting tired of boarding and bagging everything and then having to put a little tape on them, this and that. It was obnoxious. So let's jump in. One of my favorite, because I love everything IDW is doing right now with their Godzilla stuff. I got this one shot called The Best of King Ghidorah. Look at that cover. That's a nice cover, and I love King Ghidorah. Actually, I just love everything Godzilla, big meaty kaiju related. Then I got a bunch of Radiant Blacks because I didn't have it picked up. Like I said, I haven't got it like almost a month and a half. So I got issue 23. This is the cover I picked out because they give me the variant options, and I was like, no, I love this. I love the color. I love when they do like the blues and the whites on there. And then I also got issue 23. So some of these might be like ones I talked about last time because like I had all my comics from last time. I picked them all up all together, and I didn't get to board and bag them, so I board and bagged like 2.5 months worth of comics. So I'm trying to figure out which ones are the newer ones that I just picked up. Then I got Rogue Sun number 11. I mean, it's only right that we talk. Can we talk about this cover and also how great Ryan Parrott is with writing this freaking comic? Jesus, it's good. And then I got some more Radiant Pinks. I got issue 4. Love that color, or that cover. And then issue 3. So I'm in the wrong order. So I believe there's only one more issue, and Radiant Pink is done. Then I got issue 6 for the Dead Lucky. All right. Can we just talk about Melissa Flores is killing it in comics right now? Like, literally, Power Rangers, great. The Dead Lucky, great. I'm like, damn. Like, does she write bad comics? Like, I don't want her to write bad comics, but I'm just saying, like, so far the track record in the history shows, because I pull a lot of comics, especially in this genre type, Melissa Flores is killing it. Also, because these are out of order, I got volumes 3 and 4 of TMNT Power Rangers. I already got 2 last time. But those were just the variants. Next up, I got more variants for Kamen Rider 01 issue number 3. The reason why I'm not doing any videos on this is I'm waiting until it's done, which I believe is with issue 4. Then I'm going to do a whole thing going over it and my thoughts, my feelings on it, because I have those towards it, and yeah, it's a thing. Next up, Jeff Lemire is amazing, and I have Little Monsters number 12, and I love the artwork on this cover. I love all the art. Okay, listen. I know I don't pull a lot of mainstream comic series runs anymore. Like, I mean, once Miles Morales ended and they were restarting it over, I made the executive decision. I'm going to trade wait. 90% of DC, trade waiting. Okay? So that's why you're going to see a lot of indie stuff. There's a lot of Image in here, a lot of IDW. There is going to be some Dark Horse. I know there's and boom, there is no, like, I'm not pulling anything Marvel or DC right now. And it's been a while since I've kind of cut those two publishers out of there. And it's not about the quality. It's just from a money standpoint and financially, I prefer trade waiting. I don't have that urge for some of the runs that have been going on for the characters to be like, oh, I can't wait month to month to read this. I haven't felt that way in a while with a lot of their stuff. And it's not a bad thing. I'm just trade waiting. And I do like the idea of getting to just sit down and like reading a trade and getting the whole story, because sometimes the cliffhangers is that get a little obnoxious. So I just trade wait, and it's nothing against Marvel or DC. I know a lot of people spin this narrative that they're failing, they're losing money, they're on life support. That's not the case, okay? It's not. You just don't know how sales work, like, and how the comic book industry works. Like, I'm just throwing it out there. Sorry, no shade, but that's literally what the issue is. My thing is, just a lot of these other ones I like to collect. I like to read them, like things like Power Rangers, TMNT, anything from the MassiveVerse, Little Nightmares, House of Slaughter, Something is Killing the Children. Those I buy the trades, but I also buy the issues and I read them. And I tried to cut back on getting all the cover, especially for Power Rangers. Mainly TMNT. I only got so many covers because I was like, you know what, these covers are so good, I can't like not get them. And there's some other variants for there that are in my box that I definitely realize I just picked up, but I don't feel like digging through the box while I'm recording. Um, Dark Horse, Stranger Things. They started another run. I love how Dark Horse does these like 4 issue runs for Stranger Things, and this time it's issue 1 of Tales from Hawkins. I picked that cover. I like that cover a lot. I've been. My wife is always like, "Oh my god, they got new Stranger Things comics." And I get them, right? I get them. Thinking, and she read like one issue, not one run, just one issue. She's like, "Oh, that's good." And I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna read the other one?" She's like, "Not right now." And then it's been literally the whole entire history of like them not like ever reading them. And I'm gonna put a pin in this really quick because I just got a delivery, and it's I'm curious. All right, I didn't order anything online because all my stuff I have tracking for. This came from, dude. This has to be a burner. This isn't. People want to know. I was in the tech industry for so long in communications. I know every company. I'm not going to say the name of what is on this label, but I can tell you right now, it's not. This has to be a burner account. Like, what the hell? No fucking way. How am I going to be in the middle of doing podcast? Dude, no shit. All right, so I just you gotta be no. All right, I don't know how to like tell you guys this, because I got it. Like, I literally have just gotten from a burner account mailed to me a stack of every issue cover for No One Number One from the MassiveVerse. Like, okay, going over some new comics. What the fuck? Dude. Is this you're doing, Kyle Higgins? Did you do this? Because I know I signed up for the MassiveVerse influencer thing. I should probably check my emails. I really should, huh? Dude. No. All right, we're going over these covers. Ooh. All right. I like that cover a lot. Oof. The drop. What? Dude, you see? Like, damn. All right. All right, this is a sick cover. Like, I'm trying to, like, look at that. Look at these. Damn. Nah, I'm gonna keep my composure. We got virgin variants with nothing. Oh, bro. Oh, nope. These are the ones. These are the Oof. Yeah. This is for cover E from Jim Mahfood. That's a good one. I love that. Oh, we got another one. Ooh, this is Geraldo Borgs and Marcelo Costa. Marcelo Costa artwork is so good. I was actually going to talk about it. I have it on my note, but look at the Radiant Black cover. And one of the ones where you get like the blank cover that when you open it, it has cover A. Like, bro, like, Kyle Higgins, sir, if this is your doings, like you got me in my emotions right now while I'm trying to record my podcast. And like the irony that I'm actually doing a massive verse into the massive verse part 2 episode right now. Like I'm not only am I shocked, I am now kind of need to put a tinfoil hat on because the fact that it got delivered literally at the exact time that I am recording. Are you watching me? I need to get one of those like weird webcam covers now. Cause yeah, no, but dude, that is awesome. Holy shit! Thank you, Kyle Higgins, and everyone at Image and everyone working on the MassiveVerse. Um, Now I got to make sure this looks even better, and I sound even more less like an idiot when I talk about Volume One and Two of Radiant Black. Now I got all this extra added pressure on me, and all right, uh, um, dude, that threw me off. I don't. Wow. Yeah. All right. I need a moment. I need a moment. I gotta like get my composure back because like shit. Oh my god. Like, all right, I'm back. Um, so I checked my email. I'm gonna try and like, I'm playing it. I'm downplaying it right now because like, and I'll explain after I say what I got in my email. Um, it was an email from Kyle Higgins. Uh, and I will always keep full transparency of anything. I was accepted into the MassiveVerse influencer program. So this was a gift from them. I'm trying to keep it together because I can count on one hand, and not using all fingers, the amount of times I've gotten like into any opportunity like this because a lot of this stuff is an analytics game. Oh, you don't have 5,000 subscribers or even 1,000 followers? Yeah, no, sorry. But when you something like this happen, like it's like, okay, this something like this means a lot to me actually, and I could sit here and say thank you, Image Comics, thank you, Kyle Higgins, thank you, everyone who is a part of the MassiveVerse, whether it's Melissa Flores. I always forget the first name because the last name's on all the comics. Chen, I could think, Kyle, everyone, and like thank yous. All I could say is I love MassiveVerse, and I'm gonna be covering the fuck out of it. And I still gotta put my poster up. So if you see more MassiveVerse stuff showing up, listen, I already had all that planned. Okay, I swear, I still have the Power Morphicon MassiveVerse poster. The reason why it's not up on the wall is because I need Melissa Flores and Matt Groom to sign them still. And until I get them to sign it, I'm not gonna frame it. I have it in my poster tube. Uh, so, wow, that actually this went sideways for the podcast. I wasn't even planning on it. Like I should. Wow. Like also, kudos on using a burner company. That is genius. Because I'm sitting here looking at the name. I'm like, I didn't order anything. And looking at the name of the company, I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna put that business out there. But I was like, what is that? Yeah, that's genius. Because I was like, I don't even know anyone from that region, especially companies. I'm out of that side of the tech game, so I don't have any pull or connects out there in that. It Genius, so genius. Hats off to you, Kyle. You've been marketing all this stuff so good. Like, so the good. I have no segue for this. What the hell do I do now? Seriously. Oh, I know. Because it's Image Comics. Image. So, Image, out of order, I got issue 10 of Little Monsters. Dude, okay. So, can we talk about how great the contrasting colors are in Little Monsters? Have you read Little Monsters? Because you should. Because it's majority just white and black, and the reds are all, and sometimes yellow are always like the key colors that are like drawn out in the pages, and like the covers are just so good, like so good. I actually love this so much, and I'm a big fan of Jeff Lemire. Okay, I get it, and I'm kind of a fanboy for the writing, but it's just good. It's just really good writing, and it's a really good story. And I don't even like vampires that much anymore. I really don't. I felt like vampires were kind of played out, but like Little Monsters is great because it's like post-apocalyptic with vampires. It's like shit. That's a good combo. Why hasn't that really been done much? Back to IDW though, because I like my big meaty kaiju's. I'm not wearing my big meaty kaiju shirt. I feel like I should when I talk about Godzilla comics. By the way, big meaty kaiju shirts available at onlyhenshins.com. I won't sell out for companies. I'll sell out for my own merch though. I'm just saying. But I got issue 5 of Godzilla, Monster and Protectors. All hail the king. This looks so good. We got King Ghidorah on there. Got a little Godzilla action in there. These comics, they're fun. They're fun comics, and that's where I'm at with my comic book collecting right now. Is just Power Rangers, but like I'm getting comics that are just fun to read. All the Godzilla ones are great. Also, issue 105 and 106 of Power Rangers. I cannot wait to read these because we also have 107 dropping on Wednesday, the same day as Once and Always, the 30th anniversary special for Power Rangers, which is also dropping on Netflix. So I'm like, shit. Alrighty then. Next up, because it's all out of order, I got actually issue 11 of Little Monsters. I'm still trying to get my composure, I'm not going to lie. And then lastly, more IDW. This is a one-shot for Godzilla Rivals. It's Mothra versus Titanosaurus. Look at that cover. Look at Mothra. I love Mothra so much. And I love these IDW one-shots. Like, if you haven't checked out any of the one-shots for the Godzilla Rivals, like, they go over these iconic mashups from the Showa era feuds. They're just really good retellings with a little bit of a spin on them. So it's not just like a comic book version of the movie. They're really good. They're very enjoyable. The artwork, the color style, everything else. It's like IDW. I don't pull a lot of IDW. I think the main ones I think I'm just literally pulling Godzilla from them. Anything Godzilla, and it's really good. And I've actually used these Godzilla comics as a way to get some of my friends who don't read comics but love kaiju stuff to get into some comics. I'm like, yeah, you should check these out. And IDW does a really great job of that. And I mean, outside of the Power Ranger Godzilla crossover, no disrespect, but I personally that didn't really do much for me. I mean, the artworks and some of the full page stuff and that was great, but it was a crossover I didn't really care for. Also, last two, these are little big boy ones. I got Inferno Girl Red 2 and 3, so this 3-issue run is done. I actually have the first issue right here that I read. So I'm going to be doing a special actually, no. I may just do the next MassiveVerse one based on Inferno Girl Red just because it's right there. It has 3 issues, and I have since a lot of the stuff is very isolated to its own lane, which I'll get into when I talk about the MassiveVerse stuff. I'm pretty sure I could just do that as its own entity before I do Rogue Sun, or I could do both. But yeah, okay. So let's not dilly dally anymore. Let's actually get into the meat and potatoes, which is Into the MassiveVerse Part 2, where I will be going over the first 2 volumes of Radiant Black. Full transparency, I have every issue. I usually I buy the trades. I actually don't have the physical trades for volume 2 or 3 of Radiant Black. I'll have Radiant Black 1, volume 1 as a physical trade. I plan on buying it. I should have when it was on sale, but because of Comixology and Kindle, I have them on there with the Comixology Unlimited or Kindle Unlimited. I keep getting Kindle Unlimited and Comixology confused because it's Comixology was a thing and then there's some issues with it, but yeah. So I use whatever the Amazon Prime Kindle or Comixology Unlimited, whatever that is. That's what I read volume 1 and 2 and 3 on, even though I have physically volume 1, but it's all the way on my trade paperback bookshelf, which is in the other room. This is my filming area, which I actually don't really. I keep my more recent comic books here. And that's it. Spoilers. Okay? Spoilers. Spoilers, but I'm going to try to not get too much into too much of the dialogue and stuff like that. I am going to leave some stuff out, but main plot points, a lot of character profiles, stuff like that, I'm going to be going in on, especially our 2 main characters, which, speaking of, our main character, Nathan, is in this book. And one of my favorite things about Radiant Black, and at least from Radiant Black, the 2 main characters, which is Nathan and Marshall, is the grounded nature in not only their characters, but the dialogue. It feels very much how I would talk to my friends. And I get, and I could take my ring off. My ring is tapping on things. And also, I get these vibes where sometimes, and I am probably like 100% wrong, I get very like Kevin Smith style dialogue inspirations with some of the conversations, but not like more like the clerk stuff, like, Randall and this, that. Like, I get those vibes and maybe a little bit of Mallrats in there. Uh, I got their names all mixed up because Randall's the one from Mallrats. Okay, listen, it's been a while, okay? But I get that vibes from like how they would interact from a friend standpoint with each other, like with Brody and everything else. So I get those kind of vibes with Marshall and Nathan, how they interact with each other, especially Marshall. But yeah, it's very grounded characters. We have Nathan, our main character, who is moving home after basically being unsuccessful as a writer. The gist of it is he wrote some short stories. He got brought on to write a novel based on one of his short stories, and he's struggling with it, struggling financially. He moves home with his parents. He has $48 in his bank account, but the debt is over 38,000. So now, he moves back home and he's doing a ride share, which is like an Uber or a Lyft. And listen, as someone who's had to move back home across the country, like he moved from like the city to like back home. I moved back across the country. Like we all have our struggle. Like, and by now it's good. But it's one of those things where it's like I get that, I relate to that. And I remember when I moved back home, I was tail between my legs, little wounded puppy licking my paw, and just like with Nathan, the friend Marshall shows up, and he's just like, "Oh, you're back. Let's go. Let's go out to Drake's. Let's go, big writer." And we find out he hasn't told his parents about his debt or anything like that, and how it struggles. And they they're a little tipsy. They're leaving, and they see this orb above a train area and train track like yard. Now, obviously, if you're gonna find a orb that looks like a little black hole and you've been out drinking, I would assume, I don't drink anymore. You would assume you're gonna touch it. I would. I mean, honestly, that's how you get powers. Like, I know everyone would be like, I would have touched it. What if it's a black hole that sucks you in? It's like, listen, if my years of being a nerd have taught me anything, you see a weird floating orb anywhere, you touch it. That's how you get powers. You don't avoid touching weird things that look alien. You always touch them. Every time. Unless it's sticky and it has like tentacles, you don't touch. No, we do not touch tentacles. We do not touch anything that's gooey, ooey, or sticky. Those are the bad things. Because that's usually something that'll eat your flesh or insert itself somewhere. So we avoid that stuff. 100%. And if it's green, don't touch green. I know from a traffic light, green means go. Anything glowing green, don't touch it. Don't touch green glowing stuff. Unless it's a ring, but you better know the oath. I mean, it's not like I like Green Lantern. You can't see my back by Green Lantern. But yeah, the Green Lantern reference. So like he touches it. He turns into Radiant Black. No name yet though. But he said there's like suit. He's like, what the hell's going on? I love the humor between the two because Nathan starts throwing up. 90. He's in a suit with a helmet, and the throw up's just coming out of the mouth area, and he's like, "Oh God!" screaming, and even Marshall's just screaming like, "How is this happening? I don't understand. You don't have a mouth." And I'm just like, "This is the humor between the two is, and like that's a cool friendship, the dynamic, and it does change a bit later on, which I'll get into towards the end of volume 2, but I just love their dynamic and the humor. But then at the same time, Nathan is such a good character and like realistic. He has these powers. He's even like doubting, himself. Like, why do I have these powers? What, like, also stuff like because he says he screws everything up. That self doubt, this and that, and we don't get a lot of comics where we do get the arcs where like they start to doubt themselves, but we don't really get this growth like where a character usually gets powers where they're at their lowest fully. Usually it's like, oh, they got their powers, then something happens, then they're at their lowest. And I really like this. And we don't in volume 1 we don't even we don't get time to digest Nathan's learning these new powers, this and that, because we already find out that there's a red version, Radiant Red. And this person is in Chicago in the city robbing banks. And, you know, a lot of comics I feel like have a weird superficial dynamic between parents and like the son or the daughter who's the main character. This one seems very organic. Like a conversation I'm pretty sure I've had before with a parent or an aunt or my grandfather or, or I'm sure a lot of you have too. Because, he's eating breakfast. The dad is just constantly asking, hey, you looking for work? You know? And even then, he'll be like, hey, are you all right? Kind of like that. Hey, I hope you're, and even from the point where like, you know, he brings up, oh, well, the ride share, hey, it's money. And listen, we've all got that, hey, it's, hey, it's better than nothing type of talk, when it comes to working. I mean, all this dynamic is so good. And, I brought up like Clerks and stuff like that because Marshall works at a video store. And this is where I get all the Randall vibes and this that from Clerks because, like, when he's interacting with customers to like pick videos, like he's so antagonistic, and you can tell like a lot of the guests don't like him, and it's actually kind of cool. Like, I worked at a video store, I know how this goes. Like, you get so much crap dealing with guests who don't know what to pick, and they always pick the same thing, this and that, and you try and suggest them something new, and they don't like. They just want to stick to the same stuff all the time. It's exhausting, but it's a fun job. And let's face it, it's a fun job. It's chill. Like, you get to watch movies, and then you get to watch as much movies, and then you become this encyclopedia of movies, which is why I make so many 80s and 90s pop culture references and movie references whenever I do like reviews of stuff, because it's still my brain. I've watched a lot of freaking movies. I really have. Um, so this dynamic between Radiant Black and Radiant Red, what works about this, besides the amazing artwork, mind you, and color work on it, the colorists killed it with Radiant Black. I mean, all of them actually, like the color, like they even brought in guest colorists for some of the later on issues that I'll talk about. Because this dynamic with Radiant Black and Radiant Red has been so good. Because like Radiant Black, like Nathan is still learning everything, and now we have this mysterious Red that he's trying to get information on why they're bad, why they're robbing banks, but also from that we're like, hey, this is someone else who has powers. Like, I just got these. I don't know what I'm doing. So while all this great full panel fighting is happening, we get Nathan asking questions, which I'm just like, this is, you know, really cool, because usually that's not the dynamic we get when we have two, superpowered people fighting in other IPs. It's usually, oh, I'm gonna stop you. You can't get away. I was like, oh, you can't defeat me. No, this is like, hey, so what's his powers? And then, and one of my favorite things is I'm a sucker for, and this is to the artist's credit and Kyle's credit, and with Rogue Sun Ryan and Melissa, they all wrote Power Rangers. Some of my favorites artwork and writing they did were the morphing pages. They did a full transformation page for Nathan into Radiant Black, and it is, if I could get an art piece of that and put on the wall, I would. It even says in my notes, get an art piece of that and put on your wall. And I'm like, yeah, Mark, definitely. So with all superhero stuff, like, you got to pick out a name, right? And some of my favorite things were that, like, there's a page where Marshall's at work, because, movies, you work at a movie rental store, you got a lot of free time. I'm just saying, okay? He's come up with names, and there's like a little Easter egg where he put Power Ranger, and then he like crossed it out and said like trademark issues or copyright or claim, and I was like, yep, that was a funny little Easter egg. And even, while Nathan's like learning all his powers, and he's like using social media to try and help people, and he goes to help a family who had a flat tire, and we find out he doesn't know how to change a flat tire, so he just uses his powers, because he could fly and manipulate gravity, to carry the car to the destination. I was like, that was fun. This is like showing his character, that like showing the flaws, but also the lack of like just general knowledge. Like, I know how to change a tire. Like, it's fun, but it's also just showing he one of the kid of the family was like, "Don't you have anything better?" He's like, "No, actually, I have nothing really else going on right now." It's like, and I thought that was really cool. Um, so we through volume one, we don't get the full like information on what this radiant energy is from. There's an alien that talks to Nathan in his sleep, and this alien just keeps, you know, warning him about this war and this threat that's coming, and if he will kill him. So whatever this threat is, this alien like, are you gonna kill it? Are you gonna kill this threat? We don't know what that is yet. Foreshadowing like that. Gotta plant those seeds early. Um, volume one was just the balance of the fighting in the story was so good. Like literally most of it was radiant red and radiant black fighting, but all the fighting was just so insane. Radiant red figures out who Nathan is. They're fighting all over the city. They're getting flying through buildings, just dis- property damage. Honestly, if I'm going to be real with you, a lot of property damage. And I was like, okay. And we got one of my favorite things in Toku from comics, Toku inspired comics to shows. We got a cracked helmet on Red, and I was like, yeah, cracked helmet. I love that because I'm a fan of that stuff. And we get this big grandiose fight inside of a building, and the cool thing is we kind of see, even though Nathan is learning these powers, always self-doubting himself, the building starts coming down, and because he can do these energy blasts, kind of pull and like pulse waves out of it to an extent, he pushes everyone and Red out of the building as it collapses down. So even during all this fight, he's saving everyone, even Red. And at this point, I was like, dude, they dropped the building on him. I was like, all right, what else can they do to this guy? But we realize that he's actually gonna die. And I was like, Kyle, you're gonna kill the main character this early on? Like, I like Nathan, and you're gonna kill him? I was like, this is not necessary. And even Marshall runs over, and the ball, like the little gravity ball, I don't even know what's called, the radiant ball. Oh, that sounds inappropriate. I'm just gonna say the energy ball. I said ball again. That sounds bad. Energy ball is coming out of his chest, and even this alien voice asks Marshall, will he do everything necessary to save the world and take his life? And Marshall even says, as long as you get me to Red, I want to kill Red. I want to destroy you. Give me the power to kill Red, and I will do whatever you want. Yes. And I'm like, oof. And now Marshall actually has the mantle of Radiant Black. And I love this because we've gotten this quirky, you know, Marshall this whole time. Now we're getting this angry, like revenge fueled freaking Marshall. And the good thing is Nathan didn't die. Like he gets rushed to the hospital, but man, we like the depth to Marshall though. Like we find out, Nathan's now got hooked up to machines keeping him alive, and this is just sending Marshall. And we get him just going after Red. He finds Red. But the thing about Red is you start to kind of feel like sympathetic because Red's, talking like, this is what I wanted, being very, sorry, like just wanted to scare Nathan, this, that. But Marshall's just so angry. And the panels of this fighting, and it's kind of cool because like you get like, even though it's still Radiant Black, it's a different person in the suit and the powers, but the dialogue feels so different. The dynamic, like now we're seeing Red kind of like not so imposing because Marshall is just wrecking shit, and the artwork, the rage fueled dialogue with it, just chef's kiss, perfect, delicious. And we find out some more about the powers and the difference. So Red can actually absorb the material around them and kind of use it to get their powers. And since Marshall, being the nerd of this, he's the one coming up with names and learning the power. Like he already knew this, and since he could fly, he takes Red up into the air. Because if you're in the air, there's nothing around you to absorb. And they continue fighting. And one of the things that really set the difference between Marshall and Nathan when they're Radiant Black is Marshall was ready to kill Radiant Red to the point where he yells "die" while shooting a blast at Red, and it does so much it actually starts breaking off the suit, and it's revealed that Radiant Red is a female. And I'm like, okay, we're about to get some good exposition, some dialogue. Like this is where, like, how now that Marshall knows this is just, and you could see the fear on her face and this and that, and she's scared. What's the dynamic? And right before that, we have two more Radiants introduced with yellow and pink, and they come out of a portal, and they just warn them that something is coming that can counteract their powers, and that was it for Volume 1. And I was like, what the cinnamon toast fuck? Like, Volume 1 gave us so much stuff. And I was like, we're already getting two more color Radiants? I was like, okay, I'm here for this. This, like, the universe being set up, these multiple characters, is very good. And I, like, thoroughly, I just loved it. It was such a good freaking volume. I tell everyone, like, read this volume, and if you aren't enjoying it and you aren't hooked, I don't know what to tell you. It's really good. And Volume 2, I enjoyed. But Volume 1, from a origin story beginning, there's so much stuff hooking me in. And Volume 2 is now kind of like ironing out, giving us some more character, like the aftermath of a lot of stuff, but also setting up what this threat is and everything else. And that's when I was like, all right, like, yeah. And it's tough for me. It's going to be tough for me. I have my notes for Volume 2. It's going to be tough for me to talk about Volume 2, knowing what I know from everything else that's been going on in the comic, because Volume 1 is issue 1 through 5? 1 through 6? Yeah, 1 through 6. Volume 2 is 7 through 12. And I'm going to tell you right now. Or is it 11? I don't know. All I know is issue 10. If you want to see crazy artwork, crazy coloring, issue 10 is insane. I will get to that while I'm talking through it. So, we now, with Volume 2, we now have our bad guy who is showing up. It's 001. And everything about this fighting and this, that, like the colors, the full art panels, so good. Like, he is wrecking shop on all of them. And I'm just like, damn. But we find out because Pink can do portals, they go through a portal and they escape to Tokyo. And you would think with a villain coming up and just starting beating the crap out of everyone, like that would be the main thing you'd be focused on. But Marshall's just like, nope, I'm not done with you, Red. Like, and he's just like, I don't care about this. Like, no, we are settling. Like, Marshall's so one way, like tunnel vision on Red needs to pay for what she did to Nathan. And we're gonna have our Radiant Yellow just be like, hey, that was out of time. There's a threat, and so the warrior finds them. I don't know how, because like we learn more about his powers. Like he can, kind of sense them. It's crazy, honestly, in a good way. And this 001, I'm gonna say the warrior, honestly, finally shows up. He gives them these cryptic messages about the world's ending. Like, he's just crazy. They're fighting all over the place. They teleport away. They're separated. We have red and yellow together, pink and black together, and like the warrior's literally fighting yellow and red, and just like going ham, stabs red. I was like, what? You're like, are we gonna get another person pseudo killed? But red can absorb material around them to kind of like heal up and get more powerful. But everything about these fighting, everything is just ridiculous, and we get a little more like Marshall and Radiant Pink, interacting with each other because they end up going through a portal nap in Russia, and it's like I kind of dig Marshall as a character because there's definitely more than the surface level like jokes, and there's definitely more than just his anger towards Red. There's definitely something there, and we get that eventually, but I like how it was a slow burn with his character, and it wasn't something that just Okay, here's every characteristic of him. Now you know the character. Like, by the time you get to issue 10, that's when you're just like, shit. Marshall, the character, like everything going on, like that is great writing of a character, 100%. And uh, I they they end up all meeting up again, and we learn something else that Marshall can do. As a robot hand comes out of his chest and grabs the warrior and absorbs it inside of him. It like pulls him into like the radiant energy thing. And even they're like, "What was all that?" And he's like, "Did you not just see a robot hand just came out of my chest and just pulled him in?" Like, and I was just like, "That is yeah." And then because this was around, I believe, issue 8, my notes say, and there's a cliffhanger for that. So reading the comic month to month, this is what like really got to me, and I was like, man, I can't wait for issue 9. Is we an alien like pod thing is on Earth, and these like mercenary people find it and they open it up and it has like tech and all these weapons, and then it just like ends, and I'm like, but what is going on? Like, this is crazy. And we learn a little bit more of that in volume 2, not fully fleshed out, but a little bit. There's this whole, so I'm gonna talk about Nathan. Nathan is in a coma, and Marshall try to figure out what to do, this and that. So he's kind of in a funk, and they do these multiple, like, I guess, panels where it's different days where he's just sitting on his steps eating a bowl of cereal, and these high schoolers walk by school, and like the teenagers heckle him, and man, he's hitting them with mom jokes, this and that, and I enjoy, like, we're still getting like the one-liners and the humor from Marshall at the same time, seeing this like the sadness from him, because he's visiting Nathan every day in the hospital, telling him things that are going on, as well as for planning when Nathan wakes up. And you know this is another thing where it's like, okay, there's so much character growth and development and revelations for how Marshall is as a character, and I love that. Also, there's a Cowl reference. For those of you who don't know, in 2014 in Image Comics, Kyle Higgins wrote a comic called Cowl, which stood for Chicago Organized Workers League. It was kind of like a noir style 60s esque comic where it was about if superheroes were in a union organization. And so, in a way, they're kind of retconning Cowl to be in the MassiveVerse. So, if you haven't already, go pick up, I believe Cowl has 2 volumes. You should check it out, because I remember Cowl in 2014 because I was a big Image comic fan for a really long time, especially when I was like really deep into the Walking Dead comics and everything else. And so now I only have a few, like, the actual issues, because then when I moved, I stopped pulling comics for like 2 years when I was moving. So I'm gonna have to pick up the trades. I have them digitally, but I definitely want to get physical copies of those trades to add to the collection. But yeah, I thought that was really cool, because he even mentioned that, hey, Cowell's getting a 4K HDR remaster, and for the 15th, I think it was like the 15th anniversary, and I was like doing math in my head. I'm like, well, that's 2019. I was like, okay. I was like, I dig that. And so I thought that was really cool. Some of the, but all right, Marshall. We got to go back to the humor really quick, because I'm like jumbled, because the Cowl thing like kind of like caught me off guard. So it's time for the Marshall greatest hits of insults to teenagers, because they do, like I said, they did multiple pages of where they were walking by heckling him, and he would hit him with one-liners back. So I'm going to rank them, or I'm going to grade them on a scale of 1 to 10. First up, kid talk shit. His reply was, says the virgin graduating into a false economy. And I was like, ooh. I would give that an 8 out of 10. Because, I was like, you went for the false economy. And I was like, yeah, kid thinks he's going to, all right. And then next up we have, sorry, couldn't hear you over the sound of everyone skipping your Instagram stories. And I was like, all right, that's funny, but I'm going to give that like a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. But then this is my this is a good one. A little rebuttal. He says, "Oh hey, there's a new TikTok challenge you should check out. It's called Go Fuck Yourself." And I was like, 12 out of 10, top tier insult. Marshall is the goat at insulting teenagers, and it was actually pretty funny. Um, so I talked about the funny, but I got to talk about like the next arc of like issue 9 into issue 10, like the end of 9 into 10, and into the beginning of 11, because this is like deep. This is when we get the revelations, the deepness into the psyche and the character of Marshall, because they're ready to take Nathan off of life support, and Marshall's caught off guard. He also doesn't accept it. He even says no. He's like, he's still alive. There's gotta be a way to save him. There's definitely, he's still alive. And the mom's getting upset. He runs off and he's like yelling at the radiant, because this whole time the radiant energy's not really talking to him. He's yelling at it. He's like, answer me. I could save him. Come on. He's not saying anything. He's like, fine. I'll just get hit by this train, because I know if something happens to me, that's going to affect you too. And finally, the alien brings him into inside the energy, and we're going to call this existence, because he literally says, welcome to existence. Welcome to existence, and the truth in the existence is a constant in this. This is some of the best artwork in coloring I've ever seen in issue 10, which is why I brought it up earlier. Marcelo Costa is such a great artist, and the guest artist for this issue is Sabrina Del Grasso. Dude, the coloring knocked it out of the park. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, I gotta look this person up. I gotta see more of their coloring. I gotta see their art. This was the whole, just amazing, and the coloring and everything else was just so good. And this whole entire time, you know, being inside the existence is Marshall coming to terms with the truth. You want to save Nathan, you have to come to the truth. Why are you here? What are you hoping to do? Why are you here? Over and over again, and we find out after constantly being confronted, even like there's, Nathan, like projected characters talking over, he would constantly attack them. And even 001 was like his guide in it, and he was like, what are you doing? Like, you should, like, this whole existence, everything in here is living, so it's going to react. But eventually he makes it to the end, and he's talking to a big projection, and the entities are, asking him constantly, like, you keep saying to save your friend, but why? And eventually, and he's like, because he's my friend, because I love him. Like, why? Why are you doing this over and over again? And they're like, the truth is in the existence. The existence is truth, like over and over again. Like, and eventually he breaks down, and he says, because he's nothing, because he's done nothing, and Nathan deserves the power. And he hates Nathan because of what he is and what he is not. And I was like, damn. He says he's not doing anything. Nathan got out. He left. He got out. He left me. He left family. He had goals. He was actually trying to do things, whereas Marshall's just not trying. He's not doing anything. And I was like, fuck. And then we got Nathan, the projection, showing up. He's like, that's not true. They hug, and then they get out because Marshall finally said the truth. And I was like, shit, son of a bitch. This comic went deep for a hero comic that's still only into volume 2. This is issue 10. And so Nathan's awake. Nathan's alive. Marshall ends up back in his apartment when he teleports out of it, but we find out it's been 6 freaking weeks, because it was pointed out in the beginning, time works differently in the existence. And I was like, oh, all right. So this time we find out Marshall lost his job. Everyone thought he offed himself because they found beer and pills just laying in his apartment. The mother is not, like, a lot of people aren't talking to him. Everyone's mad at him but Nathan, because Nathan knows he saved him. and even they talked about it, but everyone's mad because they thought the worst. He scared them all, but they're all kind of like standoffish towards him now because he was gone for 6 weeks. Like he lost his job, everything else, and then we find out we get some more Radiant Pink because Pink offers him a job because she's a streamer, and she's like, hey, I want to live stream. You come with me. She live stream while she's fighting crime and stuff, and we want to go help hunt down the Doppler, which is a supersonic villain, and uh, we find out that Doppler is actually someone who knows Marshall. It's someone that one of the professors from college, and they are working with people who actually have some of the alien tech, and she's just robbing things. And I don't want to go, like I said, like some of the villain stuff. I don't want to get too deep into a lot of stuff with spoilers. I'm just trying to do an overview. By the end of Volume 2, though, we get the origin story for Radiant Pink. So we get some flashbacks, which I think is great because Radiant Pink is a very intriguing character. I think because so many stuff is isolated where you can read the comics on their own, I think there's a lot of people who are content creators, streamers, who would actually really dig Radiant Pink. Because she's a live streamer. She was her origin story was she was starting a subathon. Her cat jumped up, broke her mic. She goes to this Best Buy type place to get a new one, but they're all out. Even the guys just like, yeah, everyone wants to be a streamer, so we have no streaming equipment anymore. And it's like, that is true. That is a thing that's been happening. And the guy's like, hey, I can fix it, but you're gonna come back later on tonight. Radiant Pink goes to surprise her girlfriend. They're like, let's take lunch, even though it's 10 o'clock. And, they kind of get in an argument because, and I've been in these type of situations before. She's on her phone on social media. The girlfriend's just like, you took me away from my studies, away from me in college to spend time with me, but you care about your phone. And then she both lied, at least what I do is important. And that, the girlfriend, not the streamer. And that kind of set her off because it's kind of like, downplaying what she does for a career, for a living. And we find out that she goes to get her mic fixed, and the guy's like, all right, we'll go over here, but it's too early, let's go get donuts. And he brings her to an abandoned place. He's like, and there's a Radiant Pink energy, and it turns out that he has the Radiant Yellow energy, and that he basically gave her that power. And we get some more backstory to their powers because Pink, as we know, could do portals. Red could absorb energy. Black can control gravity. Sorry. And Yellow can see the future. And, sadly, Pink's girlfriend breaks up with her. She shows up in her suit. She's like, look, I have powers. And she's like, no, this isn't going to work. And, yeah, I think Volume 1 and 2, really good. Really good. I think the MassiveVerse setup has been like, this is just the Radiant stuff, okay? Like, when we get into Rogue Sun, who's an anti-hero, and that side of stuff, I'm really excited to go over that. Especially Inferno Girl Red. That's another one I'm looking forward to going over with you guys. I think I'm gonna do Volume 1 of Rogue Sun next, honestly. That's gonna be not this week, coming up the following week, and because I got the Power Ranger Once and Always, that's gonna be the big episode for next week. But yeah, if you haven't already, sorry, I hit the mic. I've been doing that a lot lately. If you haven't already, go check out Radiant Black Volume 1 and 2. Check out some other ones. Like, I know the Dead Lucky, I believe Volume 1 is out now. Inferno Girl Red just ended. That's getting a trade soon, another month or so. Rogue Sun has Volume 1 out. Volume 2 is up for pre-order. The Dead Lucky Volume 2, I believe, is already up for pre-order also. Rogue Sun has Radiant Black has 3 volumes out now. Volume 4, I believe, is up for pre-order as well. If you haven't already, go to your local comic book store, go to Barnes & Noble, go on Amazon, go where you can, pick them up. They do have their website, Black Market Narrative. They have a lot of cool merch. I do plan on buying some at some point. They actually have merch revolving around the issues that are being released, and they're only available when that issue comes out, and then they're gone. And I've missed some good ones. I need to, so I need to pay attention more to that freaking website. But yeah, This has been Into the MassiveVerse Part 2. I thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Big shout out to Image and Kyle Higgins for the No One Number One. All the covers. Still losing my shit internally about that. But if you haven't already, the podcast is available on all podcast listening platforms, including iHeartRadio and Spotify. If you haven't already, please check it out on Spotify and give it a follow over there, because I host through Mixer, and Spotify owns Mixer now, or not Mixer, Anchor FM. So I was talking about streaming stuff earlier with a friend, and I'm still hung up on the Mixer stuff from 2 years ago. So if I already, go check out the podcast on Anchor, because Spotify now owns Anchor, and that's why I host it. So I get more analytics in there, and I can do more interactions with everyone, with polls and questions and Q&As and stuff like that. So check out the podcast Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, please. I am so close to 1,000 subscribers. It's amazing. You can follow me on all social medias on Nerd Name Market. Also, for the merch line, check out onlyhensions.com. A lot of good feedback. If you go on my Twitter, you could see I've been retweeting the photos of everyone who's been got their merch in. Check it out for yourself. I'm very happy with the quality and the feedback so far, and I'm already planning Wave 2, so I'm really excited to get that going. But that being said, this has been episode 144 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. My name is Mark, and I'm a nerd.